Dear Starseed from Gaia, a man is standing at the edge of a promise he made to someone else, and the moment he sees you, that promise will shatter. Because what he has with her was never what his soul signed up for. I am Ophelia, emissary of the Galactic Federation of Light, and I carry this transmission directly from the Arcturian Council, delivered to you at this exact moment in your sacred journey. This is not a coincidence. You did not find this message found you. The Arcturian Council has been watching the movements of your heart, and they sent me here because what is about to unfold in your love life requires you to be prepared. Not surprised, not shaken, but grounded and ready. By the end of this transmission, you will understand exactly how to recognize your divine counterpart the moment this sacred reunion begins to move. But here is the first revelation. The promise he made to someone else was never a betrayal of you. It was a delay, a detour his human self chose when his soul could not yet locate the signal your heart was sending. And now, that signal has grown too strong to ignore. You did not find this video by chance. Your heart called this message in. Something in you already knew a shift was coming, and that knowing is not fantasy. It is divine intelligence speaking through your chest. This is not content. This is a transmission, and your soul has been waiting for exactly this guidance. Like this transmission to affirm to the universe, my heart is ready for divine love. Subscribe if you are on the twin flame path and aligning with sacred union. Comment 1011 if you feel your heart awakening to the truth being spoken right now. This is not just a message. It is a moment of divine intervention. Your heart knows why you are here. And here is what no one tells you about that moment, the one that's coming for you. It won't announce itself with fanfare. It won't arrive wrapped in perfect timing or ideal circumstances. It will happen in an ordinary moment, in an ordinary place. And everything about it will feel like the universe finally exhaled after holding its breath for years. He will see you, not the version of you that performs or explains or shrinks. He will see the actual you, the frequency you carry when you think no one is paying attention. And something ancient inside him will recognize what his current life was never built to contain. Think about what that really means. Not the romanticized version of it that movies and songs have been selling you since childhood. The dramatic declaration, the perfectly lit moment, the orchestrated circumstances. No, the actual moment, the one the universe has been engineering through every heartbreak, every almost, every relationship that looked like it might be the one, and then quietly, painfully, revealed itself to be something else entirely. That moment is going to be breathtakingly unremarkable on the surface. It might happen in a coffee shop, in the middle of a conversation that starts about something completely ordinary. It might happen in a glance across a room that doesn't linger long enough for anyone else to notice but lasts forever inside the two of you. It might happen through words on a screen that arrive at 3 in the morning when you've stopped looking. It will be ordinary in its packaging and completely extraordinary in its frequency. Because the universe does not waste theater on the truly sacred. It reserves its most profound deliveries for quiet moments, for unguarded instants, for the split second before the mind can construct a defense. And he will see you. Not the curated version, not the one who has rehearsed what to say, and how to present, and how much to reveal. He will see the frequency underneath all of that, the signal you carry when you're not monitoring yourself. The light that moves through you when you think the room is empty. There is something in the soul of a man, built for a particular woman, that recognizes her not with his eyes first, but with something far older than sight. Something encoded. Something that has been listening for that specific signal across lifetimes, across incarnations, across the long and winding architecture of a sacred contract, written long before either of you arrived here in these particular bodies. And when his ancient self recognizes your frequency, his current life, the one he has carefully constructed from ambition and habit, and the choices made before he was fully awake, will suddenly feel like a garment that no longer fits. Not wrong exactly, just insufficient, not large enough to hold what he now understands he was always capable of becoming. What you just felt, that quiet ache mixed with recognition, is not sadness. It is your frequency remembering what it came here to receive. If this transmission stirred something you cannot name, the divine love frequency code was written for this exact moment in your journey. It contains 5 sacred Arcturian transmissions designed to dissolve the wounds blocking your divine counterpart and activate the signal that draws them closer. The link is in the first pinned comment, but it will only remain there for a short time. But before we go further, we need to speak honestly about why this activation has taken so long to reach you. Because the delay was never random, and the loneliness you've been carrying, the kind that exists even in rooms full of people, even inside relationships that looked right from the outside. That loneliness was not a sign that love had forgotten your name. It was a sign that your soul was refusing to settle for a frequency that couldn't match its depth. Most people don't understand that kind of loneliness. They try to medicate it with distraction, fill it with people who feel almost right, or blame themselves for being too much, too deep, too difficult to love at the level they actually require. But you are none of those things. You are simply a soul that came here carrying a very specific signal, and not just anyone is calibrated to receive it. Let's sit with that for a moment, because the world has not been kind to souls like yours when it comes to this particular truth. The world looks at someone who hasn't yet found their sacred partner, and it constructs narratives that they are too selective, too idealistic, too damaged, too broken, too late. The world is very good at building cases for why your longing is a liability rather than a compass. But what the world cannot see is the frequency architecture of your soul. It cannot see the depth of the signal you are carrying, the complexity of the love you are capable of generating, or the precision of the match that the universe has been slowly, meticulously, and purposefully preparing to send in your direction. Your loneliness was not evidence of failure. It was the sound of a tuning fork that refuses to vibrate at the wrong frequency, no matter how much pressure is applied. That is not weakness. That is extraordinary spiritual integrity. The people who looked almost right, and there may have been many of them, were not mistakes. Each of them was a layer of the excavation. Each relationship, each heartbreak, each moment of recognition that turned into disappointment was the universe removing another layer of interference from your signal. It was not punishing you. It was refining you, polishing the frequency until it broadcasts with a clarity that cannot be ignored by the soul it was designed to reach. This is the part where most spiritual teachings leave you waiting passively, telling you to simply trust the timing and hold space for divine love. And while that is not wrong, it is incomplete, because there is something happening inside you right now, a frequency that is either broadcasting clearly or broadcasting through interference. And that interference is what has been standing between you and the moment that is written for you. And the interference is not abstract. It is not vague cosmic static that exists somewhere out in the ether beyond your reach. It lives in specific patterns, specific wounds, specific decisions you made long ago about what love is allowed to feel like and what you are permitted to ask for and who you are allowed to become inside a relationship. It lives in the stories your nervous system tells when someone gets close enough to matter. It lives in the way your body tenses when you're being truly seen, even when the seeing is tender. It lives in the gap between what you long for and what you believe you can actually have without something going wrong. These are not flaws. They are maps, and we are going to walk through each of them tonight, not to shame you for having them, but to help you recognize them clearly enough to finally begin setting them down. The first interference is the worthiness wound, and it runs deeper than most people realize. It does not always look like low self-esteem. Sometimes it looks like hyper-independence, the part of you that decided long ago that needing someone was dangerous. Sometimes it looks like overgiving, the pattern of pouring into others so completely that by the time you're done, there's no energy left to receive. The worthiness wound convinces the soul that love must be earned through sacrifice, through patience, through proving oneself consistently enough that another person finally decides to stay. But divine union does not operate on that economy. Sacred partnership does not arrive because you've suffered enough, or waited long enough, or become selfless enough. It arrives because your frequency has finally aligned with what you already are, which is someone worthy of being chosen, fully and without condition. On the first recognition, the worthiness wound is ancient in most of us. It was often installed in childhood, reinforced by experiences of being too much or not enough, and then calcified by the relationships that seem to confirm the original story. But here is what needs to be said with absolute clarity. The wound is not the truth. It never was. It was a conclusion drawn from limited information by a part of you that was trying to protect itself before it had the tools to understand what it was experiencing. The child who decided that needing someone was dangerous was not wrong to make that decision in the environment they were navigating. The person who learned to pour into others because that was the safest way to stay close to love was not weak for developing that strategy. But the strategy is not the soul. And the strategy, however brilliantly it served you then, is now interfering with the frequency you need to broadcast in order to call in what you are genuinely here to receive. The worthiness wound whispers that you must maintain constant readiness to be chosen, that you must never appear to want too much, that you must make yourself indispensable before you allow yourself to be vulnerable. It creates a kind of internal exhaustion that is almost impossible to describe to someone who hasn't lived it. The exhaustion of perpetually managing how much of yourself you reveal, perpetually calibrating how much you give in relation to what you're receiving, perpetually bracing for the moment when whoever is in front of you finally sees too much and decides to leave. This is not love. This is labor masquerading as love, and your soul knows the difference, even when your patterns have normalized the labor. When this wound begins to heal, everything in your outer world shifts. The people who were drawn to your wound begin to fall away. The situations that required you to prove your value lose their pull, and for the first time, perhaps in this entire lifetime, you begin to occupy your own heart, not performing love, not chasing it, not auditing yourself against it, but simply living as though love is your natural state of being, because it is. And the moment you begin to embody that truth is the moment his frequency starts to feel the signal. This is not metaphor. This is energetic physics. When the worthiness wound releases, the quality of your broadcast changes in ways that are tangible and real. The people you attract shift. The dynamics you find yourself in shift. The conversations you have, the boundaries you hold, the way you speak about yourself, the company you choose, the treatment you accept. All of it recalibrates around the new frequency, and that recalibration creates a kind of energetic signature that is unmistakable to a soul who is genuinely calibrated to meet you. He will not be able to articulate why you feel different from anyone he has encountered before. He will only know that in your presence, something in him that has been restless finally becomes still. The second interference is what might be called mirror confusion. The experience of drawing in connections that seem to reflect the love you want, but are actually reflecting the wound you haven't yet healed. This is why some of you have found yourselves in relationships that started with intensity and ended with devastation. The soul was not wrong to be drawn in. The connection was real. But it was a mirror, not a destination. It was showing you something that needed to be seen, not someone who was meant to stay. Divine counterparts do not appear to complete what is broken in you. They appear to witness what has already been made whole. The distinction matters enormously because it means you do not need to wait until you are perfect. You need to wait until you are honest. Honest about what you have healed. Honest about what you are still healing. And honest about the fact that you are no longer willing to sacrifice your depth in exchange for someone's partial presence. Mirror relationships are often the most confusing ones because they carry the highest emotional charge. There is something in the nervous system that mistakes familiarity for rightness, that reads intensity as significance, that interprets the feeling of finally being understood by someone who shares your wound as the feeling of finally being seen by someone who shares your soul. These are not the same experience, but they can feel identical in the early stages. The mirror relationship begins with a feeling of profound recognition. This person gets me. This person has been through what I've been through. This person understands the parts of me that I've never been able to explain before. And that recognition is real, but it is the recognition of shared wounding, not shared destiny. It is the universe creating a classroom, not a cathedral. The intensity of these connections is not accidental. The universe calibrated them precisely because you needed to feel the full force of the wound in order to understand what you were carrying. You needed to see your pattern amplified to a scale that you could no longer minimize or rationalize. You needed to walk through the fire of what it costs to keep choosing what is familiar over what is true. Every mirror relationship you survived was a graduation. Every heartbreak that came from one was the universe granting you the next level of your own clarity. When this key turns, you stop chasing mirrors. You stop trying to rescue people who remind you of your wound. You stop mistaking familiarity for destiny. And you begin to recognize that true sacred recognition does not feel like obsession or anxiety or the desperate need to hold on. It feels like exhaling. It feels like finally being seen without having to explain yourself first. There's a quality to genuine sacred recognition that is almost impossible to counterfeit once you have experienced it. It does not feel like urgency. It does not feel like you need to secure it before it disappears. It does not feel like you are constantly on the edge of losing it. It feels like ground. Like something that has always existed and has simply now been revealed. Like a room you have never physically entered, but somehow already know the geography of. This is the frequency of true sacred union. Not the electric shock of familiar wounding, but the deep resonance of two souls whose frequencies have finally found each other in the physical dimension after all the work of preparation has been done. The third interference is karmic residue, the energetic weight of old contracts that were fulfilled long ago but never officially closed. These are the relationships that taught you something essential, the ones that broke you open in ways that, if you look honestly, led to the most significant growth of your life. You do not owe those connections hatred. You do not owe them bitterness, but you also cannot carry them into your divine union, because karmic contracts, when left open, create a kind of static in your field, a frequency that signals to the universe that you are still in process, still entangled, still finishing business that was meant to complete seasons ago. Releasing these contracts does not require dramatic ceremony or confrontation. It requires an internal decision, a quiet but absolute declaration that what was meant to teach has taught, and what was meant to end has ended, and that you are no longer available to be defined by what was never meant to last. Karmic residue is perhaps the most invisible of all the interferences because it does not always announce itself as attachment. Sometimes it lives in the story you tell about what happened. Sometimes it lives in the resentment you carry not toward the person themselves but toward the years you gave, the energy you spent, the version of yourself you had to grieve when that relationship finally concluded. Sometimes it lives in the quiet belief that you were marked by what occurred, that the scar it left on your heart is now part of your permanent architecture, that what you lost in that season is simply gone, that you cannot fully arrive in a new love because some part of you is still standing in the wreckage of an old one. But the soul is not a wreckage site. The soul is a living, breathing, ever-renewing instrument of divine frequency. And the moment you make the internal decision to close what is complete, the static clears. Not immediately, not all at once, but progressively and unmistakably. You will begin to notice that when you think about those old connections, the charge has shifted. Not that they no longer matter, but that they no longer anchor you. They become part of your story, rather than the defining premise of your present moment. And in that shift, something in your energetic field opens that has been sealed for potentially years. When this release happens, you will feel lighter in a way that is difficult to explain to someone who hasn't experienced it. Not happier, necessarily. Not immediately joyful, but lighter, like a frequency that has been dragging a weight across the floor has suddenly been allowed to rise. And rising frequencies attract rising partnerships. There is a reason that spiritual traditions across cultures and throughout history have created rituals of release and closure, because the soul genuinely requires that completion in order to move forward with its full frequency available. Whether those rituals involve fire or water or prayer or simply sitting quietly in the dark and making a sacred internal declaration, the mechanism is the same. The soul says, "This chapter is complete. I honor what it gave me. I release what it cost me. And I step forward as someone who has been transformed by the journey without being imprisoned by it." That declaration, made in sincerity and with the full weight of conscious intention, changes the energetic geometry of everything that follows. The fourth interference is the one that has perhaps cost you the most, and it is the interference of forced timing. The part of you that has looked at the calendar and the circumstances and the apparent evidence of your life and decided that if something hasn't happened by now, it probably won't. That if the right person hasn't appeared yet, maybe there is something fundamentally wrong with the path. This is not intuition. This is the ego's attempt to manage what it cannot control. And divine love cannot be controlled. It can only be aligned with. The soul who is coming toward you is also on a path. He is also being prepared. There are things in his life right now that need to reach their natural conclusion before the universe will allow the two of you to occupy the same space in the right way. That doesn't mean he is unavailable to you energetically. At the frequency level, the work between you has already begun, but in the physical, the timing is being orchestrated with a precision that your human mind cannot fully calculate. Every day you spend deepening your own healing, your own expansion, your own sense of who you are outside of any relationship. Every one of those days is a day the path shortens. Not through waiting, through becoming. Consider what it actually means that he is also being prepared. Somewhere right now, there is a man who is standing at the edge of something. A realization, a closure, a turning point in his own evolution that is necessary for him to arrive at the version of himself that is capable of meeting you at the depth you require. He may not be aware of it consciously. He may be walking through his own version of heartbreak or disillusionment, or the quiet, growing recognition that the life he has constructed, however successful it appears, does not hold the frequency of what he actually came here for. The universe is working on him the way it has been working on you. The preparation is bilateral. The journey is parallel. And the convergence point, however far or near it may feel from where you stand today, is not a matter of luck or chance or circumstance. It is a matter of two frequencies being brought into alignment at the precise moment when both are ready to sustain what the meeting will initiate. The ego cannot calculate this timing because the ego operates on the linear logic of cause and effect, of if-then, of this should have happened by now. But sacred contracts do not operate on linear logic. They operate on the logic of readiness, of resonance, of the particular quality of aliveness that two souls reach when they have done enough of their individual work that the meeting will deepen rather than disturb each other's evolution, forcing the timing by settling for something close enough, or by abandoning the inner work and frustration and simply choosing whoever is available. These are the choices that delay the actual arrival rather than accelerating it. Because the moment you settle for a frequency that doesn't match yours, your signal becomes confused. It starts broadcasting at a diluted frequency, and a diluted frequency cannot reach the soul it was calibrated to find. The fifth interference is the subtlest and perhaps the most important, the fear of actually receiving it. Because after years of longing, after years of heartbreak and almost and not quite, some part of the soul begins to make peace with the absence. It creates an identity around the waiting, and when the moment of true recognition finally arrives, that part will panic. It will look for reasons why this is not real, why this is too good to be true, why this person will eventually see something in you that makes them leave. This is not wisdom. This is the final wall the heart builds before it is asked to be fully, vulnerably, completely open. And the only way through it is to decide, before that moment arrives, that you will let yourself be loved. Not earned, not auditioned, loved, as you are, where you are, in the full complexity of everything you carry. This is the interference that is almost never discussed in spiritual communities because it sounds counterintuitive. How can the fear of receiving love be an interference in receiving love? But think about it honestly. Think about the times in your life when something genuinely good arrived, when someone showed up with care that was uncomplicated, when an opportunity appeared that asked nothing from you but your willingness, when someone looked at you with a quality of appreciation that didn't require anything in return. And notice what happened in your body in those moments. For many of you, the answer is that something contracted. Something that had learned to live inside the longing did not immediately know how to live inside the having. Something that had built its entire operating system around the question of whether love would ever arrive had not yet installed the software to process the answer of yes. This contraction is not a flaw in your character. It is a logical outcome of prolonged waiting. The soul that has longed deeply and been disappointed repeatedly eventually develops a protective posture around hope itself. It learns to hold possibility at a slight distance so that if the possibility collapses, the soul can survive the impact without being destroyed. This is wisdom in the context of surviving disappointment. But it is interference in the context of actually receiving what arrives. Because love, genuine, sacred, frequency-matched love, requires full presence to land. It requires your arms actually open, not held slightly out to the side in a posture of cautious readiness that looks like openness but feels, to the person arriving, like a door that is almost but not quite ajar. When you dissolve that wall, even slightly, even imperfectly, your energetic broadcast changes completely, and that change is what makes the difference between someone who sees you and keeps walking, and someone who sees you and cannot take another step in the direction they were heading before you appeared. Dissolving that wall does not require you to have no fear. Fear will likely be present. The dissolution is not the absence of fear, but the decision to remain open in spite of it. It is the practice of noticing the contraction and gently, deliberately, consciously choosing to soften it. It is the quiet daily declaration to your own nervous system that you are safe enough to receive, that what is real cannot be destroyed by being welcomed, that the love that is meant for you cannot be chased away by your willingness to actually let it in. That practice, sustained over time, rewires the architecture of how you receive. And that rewiring is visible in your frequency long before it is visible in your circumstances. Here is the truth that the Arcturian Council has transmitted through this message, through every message like it, through every synchronistic moment that led you to press play today. You are not waiting for someone to choose you. You are preparing to be chosen by someone who is, even now, in the process of realizing that what he has built does not hold the frequency he can feel pulling at him from somewhere he has not yet been able to name. You are that pull. You have always been that pull. The question was never whether he would feel it. The question was whether you would be standing clearly enough in your own frequency that when he turned toward it, there would be nothing standing between recognition and arrival. That sentence deserves to be held. You are the pull, not a hopeful candidate, not a possibility among possibilities, not someone waiting to be selected from an invisible lineup of worthy options. You are the specific gravitational field that was written into his contract before he arrived here. You are the frequency that his soul has been oriented toward to every relationship that didn't quite fit, through every moment of inexplicable restlessness, through every sleepless night when he could feel that his life was missing something he didn't yet have the language to name. He has been drawn toward you without knowing it. The universe has been shaping both of you in parallel, preparing the meeting with a level of care and precision that, if you could see it from above, would leave you breathless with gratitude for every delay, every disappointment, every moment of apparent failure that was actually a refinement. That is the activation. That is the sacred work, not the performing of love, not the manufacturing of readiness, but the honest, courageous, daily decision to heal what needs healing, release what needs releasing, and trust. Not blindly, but with the full intelligence of a soul that knows its own depth, that what is written in your sacred contract cannot be prevented from arriving. It can only be delayed by the interference you choose to maintain. And you do have a choice. That is the part of this transmission that carries the most empowerment, if you are willing to receive it. The delays that have occurred were not inflicted upon you by a universe that is indifferent to your longing. They were the byproduct of interference patterns that the universe was patiently waiting for you to be ready to release. Every time you do the inner work, every time you choose to look honestly at a wound instead of bypassing it, every time you close a karmic contract instead of carrying it forward, every time you soften a wall instead of reinforcing it, you are actively and meaningfully shortening the distance between where you stand and where you are going. You are not passive in this process. You are the primary instrument of it. Tonight, before you sleep, place your hand on your heart and say this with your whole body, not just your voice. I am the frequency of the love I have been waiting to receive. I dissolve every pattern that has made me invisible to my own worth. I signal clearly. I receive fully. And I trust what is already written. Say it slowly. Say it again. Let it move through the layers of you that have been waiting for permission to believe it, because that is precisely what this declaration does. It gives the deepest, most weary, most hopeful parts of you permission to stop bracing and start receiving. It tells your energetic field that the shift has begun. It tells the universe that you are ready not just to want what is written, but to actually allow it to arrive. And it tells the frequency of your divine counterpart, wherever he is tonight, whatever he is moving through, that the signal is clear, that the path is open, and that what is meant to be will not be blocked by fear any longer. Before you scroll, take a moment to leave something real in the comments. Not a performance of positivity, something true. A fear you're releasing, a moment you recognized yourself in this message, a declaration of what you're choosing from this day forward, and then read what someone else has left and meet them there with your heart. Because what is forming in this space is not an audience. It is a community of souls who are each in their own version of this activation. And your willingness to be seen here is part of your frequency clearing. If this message found you, it did not do so by accident. Share it with the person in your life who is quietly waiting for language to describe what they've been feeling. Subscribe so that the next transmission finds you when you need it most. You are not just watching something, you are participating in your own remembering, and that remembering is only beginning.